Hi, so I'm in the middle of a multi-sampling project here. I'm at the editing stage, so I've used my Rhodes piano, played in every note manually because obviously it doesn't have MIDI, so you can't use the auto sampling functions you get in some plugins like Sample Robot or Machina or Logic Pro's auto sampler. Those are all great if you have a synth you can connect over MIDI and you can set it up and basically record all the audio as it comes in via MIDI triggering. In this case, I had to do it the old-fashioned way, like I said, playing each note on the keyboard one at a time, and I decided to do it in 3 velocity levels. When I assemble all that into a sampler instrument, whether using Ableton sampler or Contact to build out the instrument, I've got the option of creating velocity layers to give it a bit more realism. Yeah, so that's the idea behind the project. Typical multi-sampling setup. I've done all the recording. I'm now doing the editing, but I've reached a stage where I am going through, as you can see, and cutting up the recordings, and I've gone through and make sure I've got, you know, my best take of each note and labeled each clip like this. Okay, so far so good. Now the issue is when I start, I know I'm going to get to a point next where once I've done this for every group of notes, every octave, as you can see, I've still got to go through, color code them here, a whole bunch of these, and do the same process to individually select and edit every note from the different takes. Once I've done that, I'll have all the notes of the keyboard at the different velocity layers ready to load into a sampler instrument. There's one bit of the workflow that I realized was going to be super time consuming and boring, which is, for me, the ideal way to do this first step of editing is in the arrangement view. And it works really well for that because obviously you can take a long wave file like this, you can expand, zoom in, and you can go through with your mouse or trackpad or whatever. You can see where the main notes that I've sampled, you know, start and stop. And you can do real quick shortcut Command E in Mac, real quick edits to separate them out because I want them all as separate wave files in the end. That's the objective of this part of the process, you know. So I'm going through and doing these manual splits, which is great. But of course, Ableton in arrangement view treats these as non-destructive edits. What I mean by that is if you click any of these and look at the waveform editor down below, although I'm creating the time selection here and it's displayed here between the kind of range markers or loop markers within the waveform, the rest of the recording is still present. It's just outside of those markers, right? So typically the way you would resolve that into an individual file, because you don't want the whole recording, that's the whole point of this process, is consolidate, Command J. So I could do that here and do it on the selected file. And as you can see, down here in the waveform editor, it's got rid of all the extraneous stuff, everything before and after the selection we want. That's how you want the file saved down when you move it into the sampler instrument. Now, I'm going to have hundreds of these to do. And once I've done the editing and got my notes roughly how I want them, as you see up here, I'm going to have to go Command J consolidate on every one, moving the click. That's, you know, a lot of mouse clips. And each one you have to wait for the consolidate process to finish before you move on to the next one. And it's very manual. You can't start it, go away, make a cup of tea and come back and it's done. You have to do them one by one. Painful. Of course, you might be thinking, well, when we're working in Ableton for production, we all know you can select a whole bunch of stuff in one track and press Command J to consolidate it. Yeah, great. That works normally when you're working on an arrangement, and this is taking forever. And I'm going to undo it in a minute. You'll see why. Because, if you use that a lot, you'll know that all it does is create one giant clip. Now, of all those notes together, the whole point of this process is creating edited separate wave files, one for each note, that we can extract from Ableton. If we consolidate in a normal way with that selection across the whole track, we're actually creating more work for ourselves. We're going to have to go through and re-edit again. Okay, so let me show you a workaround. You can't do this in arrangement view, but you can do it in clip view. So all we've got to do, once we've done these, let's call them rough edits, of each of our notes, and as you can see, these all still contain the information of the rest of the recording if you zoom out in the wave. So all of these are rough edits, but they're not consolidated yet. So how do we get them into, with kind of one click, consolidate all the clips in one go, but still have, still retain them as individual clips, not have them merged together? You can't do it in arrangement view, at least not, there's no way I know of doing it. But you can do what we want to do in clip view. So session view, I should say, sorry. And it's really simple. It's once you've done the rough edit with your unconsolidated clips, you copy them all, you move to clip view. You see I've already done something. I'm just going to delete out of this lane, and you paste them in. And as you can see, I now have, right, so far, easy enough. All of these, as I said, are unconsolidated. They've retained, though, the information we put in about our selection, our rough edits. So if I just flick through them all, you'll see a long recording for each one and an area within it that we've already selected. Now, all we have to do here is select everything again, right click, and crop clips, as you've probably done many times when you're working with clips in session view. But you can do this for a multiple selection, and of course the beauty of it is, in session view, it will keep them all as distinct clips, but cropped individually the way we mark them up for cropping in arrangement view. So let me just recap what we've done. We've got a long recorded waveform, multiple notes in arrangement view. We've gone through and done a rough edit to separate out each note into an individual clip on the arrangement timeline. We've then copied all those clips and pasted straight into a single track in session view. And within session view, we've selected all the clips again, and we've done a right click, crop, clip, action. That has now created, if we select each one of these clips, the perfectly cropped individual clip for each one. Now they are basically, I'm going to do this for each of the tracks, and then I'm going to have all my notes arranged in octaves by velocity layer, ready to go as individual waveforms into my sampler instruments once I start building them. And I reckon doing it this way is probably 10 times faster for this part of the workflow than doing it in arrangement view, moving from sample to sample with your mouse clicks and consolidating each one individually. Because the other thing is here, remember I said you have to do it, each individual clip, wait for it to finish, then move to the next one and start that command again. The other thing you'll notice we've done here is by being able to group them and press crop clip just once, it's done it very quickly for all of them. And it's effectively given us the same output as the long-winded process we were trying to do in arrangement view. Now, I came across this because I was looking for a specific solution to my use case in this instance, which is multi-sampling. But there's probably lots of other ways you can think of where it might be useful to consolidate clips in arrangement view, but keep them individual and distinct. And this is the way you would do it. So I hope that helps you in future productions, or if you're, of course, if you are doing multi-sampling yourself in the way that I'm doing it, this is a huge time saver. Cheers.